Welcome, soldier. You're about to jump into a galaxy of opportunity, wealth, destruction, and death. If you are adequately prepared, you are far less likely to die violently on the battlefield. Your war begins long before the first shot is fired. The equipment you choose, including your dropsuit, weapons, and vehicles, will determine not only your odds of survival, but also your role on the battlefield. This equipment must be purchased from the marketplace and will not be returned to you should you lose consciousness or life in battle. Your clone continually accrues skill points in battle and out. In turn, these points are applied to skills to increase their effectiveness or to teach you how to use more advanced gear. The skills you train will define the warrior you ultimately become. Your neocom is as important a tool as any weapon you will ever wield on the battlefield. It provides remote access to the market, allows you to customize combat fittings, plan your skill progress, communicate with other mercenaries, and most importantly, tracks all ongoing ground combat in the cluster. Your mercenary status allows you to fight for the corporations or factions of your choice. Once committed to a battle, you will join your allies in an orbiting war barge to suit up, form squads, compare gear, and devise strategies for the battle ahead. Remember that communication extends beyond the mercs around you. You can discuss tactics both in a local chat and within your corporation, and even with starship pilots in EVE Online. Combat in New Eden is fast, frantic, and brutal. As good as you are, you will die. And when you do, you will reawaken in a clone ready to return to battle, wiser and better prepared for the challenges ahead. Whether sneaking past enemy positions, plowing through them in a tank, or supporting your squad, you must adapt to a dynamic and dangerous battlefield. Tactical objectives change with every battle. You might need to clear out drone infestations or participate in massive land grabs sponsored by galactic empires. You may find yourself fighting wars for ideals, for money, or simply because it's what you're good at. Along the way, you'll meet like-minded mercs and forge alliances. Because one day, the land you're fighting for could be your own. Your teammates don't need to be your best friends, but you will need to trust them and work together as a unit. Being in the same squad will improve your combat effectiveness, and having a starship pilot join you can provide substantial benefits, including orbital strikes on your enemies. Dust 514 is more than a chance to lay down blistering fire, rush over terrain in armored vehicles, and fight across the galaxy alongside your fellow mercs. Every battle, every action, every decision you make will bring the galaxy together or tear it apart.
Woohoo, the day has finally come. Dust 514 is no longer an NDA product. It is an open beta, and it's now time for the tidal wave of videos to come for this. This game is awesome. I've played the heck out of this game. I just love everything about it. So you can expect a pretty regular series of videos around this, just because I think I've played something like 6 or 7 days worth of footage of this. So yeah, you're probably going to get a bit bored of this. Anyway, let's have some fun. So currently this is the squad. This is the Unholy Legion of Darkstar. That's the SquadB Dust Corporation. So if you're looking for a Dust Corporation, come on over. It's older footage of Dust as well. Obviously this is filmed a fair bit ago, but it's a bit of a mix and a match of stuff. So what you're going to see today, well, this is going to be some run and gun footage with the squad. I'll do a general montage of other stuff as we go through. If you don't know anything about Dust, let me quickly explain. Dust is the FPS link from EVE. So basically, if you understand EVE universe, Dust sits within that as an FPS. And the point of this is that you basically play immortal mercenaries who are able to obviously respawn, much as your clone pilots do in the game. But really the purpose here is, they act as mercenaries for hire. So it's opening up a very nice bit of gameplay around, really the premise that you take contracts, you go and do invasions, you'll go and hit installations, and I think it's a really exciting mechanic that I think we're just, we're kind of falling over ourselves to learn more about. And I think, a lot of people are very skeptical about Dust, and I'm with you. I was as well. When I first heard about Dust and thought PS3 only, it just was like, oh, really? It just, to me, it seemed a bad choice. I actually got a PS3 and I started playing Dust, and I think it was worth every penny because, it's a different game. It's going to sound weird. It's heavier than PlanetSide 2. It's not, I wouldn't say it's better than PlanetSide 2, but it's also not a finished product yet. It has the scope to be a lot better. But PlanetSide 2 is light. If you imagine it, it's almost like playing a browser-based game is PlanetSide 2, whereas Dust feels very heavy. It feels, your actions are heavy, the vehicles are heavy, the kind of weight of the game is there. It's very difficult to describe. It's very metaphysical because I think really, Dust is something that I think they've got, big hopes for. I think they want to turn it into something quite considerable. And I think really the link between Eve and this is going to be kind of groundbreaking. And even if it takes a while to get them, to get it really working properly, I just think the mechanics of playing a trooper being loaded onto a ship and then, just imagine this, imagine ship boarding activities where Titans are locked in a kind of combat with each other and they actually fire boarding pods at each other, and then a huge, that's the utopia of the dream of what we're doing here. So I really do have big hopes for this, and to be honest with you, I was not disappointed. I think it's a really good game. And I urge everyone to play it. It's free as well, and that's probably there to sweeten the deal. But as a game, I'd say it's very, very good, and well worth a go. So what we're doing here is we're just kind of rolling around. We joined a relatively quiet server, so really it's just me, Lord Porter, and PA. We're just rolling around killing stuff. Those two are really good at the game, by the way, and I mean really good. If you're looking for like two players who know everything about the game and completely kick ass in it, they are it, and I am not. I am pretty terrible at this game, but I get better. I think it's one of those things that, again, you just learn by playing in it. As you can see here, I'm using a heavy fit. Here I've got like a minigun. Oh, doesn't that just own? Oh, awesome. But I think this is certainly something about the game that we'll look into in more, probably not in this video, but others. But there is so much to do in this game, so many different fittings, so many different vehicles and weapons, and that it just really is absolutely glorious. So we'll cover that. So there's plenty of time to go through some of the basics, I think, really first. So, it is a squad game. I think you're limited to a certain number of players. But again, the point is you take contracts and you have to go and hit particular installations. You have to go and capture certain maps. And I think there will also be an NPC element in it. And I believe you're going to be able to hunt rogue drones. And you may have seen one in the title video, which looks pretty awesome. But I think really just, there is going to be a planet-based... There is going to be a planet-based, part of this game that will allow, the mercenaries to actually conquer planets, so they can actually take over planets. That's a pretty awesome concept as well. So, there's real scale and scope here for this to be, quite special. But again, I'm not, much like Eve. I mean, I played Eve from pretty much the word go. And it was a pretty terrible game to begin with, but I tell you what, you could see the potential, and I think with Dust as well, you can absolutely see the potential. So, I know that we're all a bunch of cynical wankers when we want to be, but seriously, give Dust a try. I think you're going to be surprised at just how good it is. And I think certainly when you see some of the content and certainly the link to Eve as well is very, very satisfying. There's something quite enjoyable about it. And I think, as a FPS, it's actually pretty good as well. I did get a lot of stick from the two guys basically saying, oh, PlanetSide's better and all this, because I went through I'm still playing PlanetSide quite a bit. But I think it's a different game. There is a different, there's a different feel to it. It feels a lot smaller. But it also feels, I think, a bit more kind of important. There's something in this game that actually has some permanence, because again, I would stress PlanetSide 2 is a great game, but it doesn't really have any. Well, you could just keep dying over and over, and there's no real penalty for that. Whereas in this, you do have to be, I can't believe I'm about to say it, you do have to be a little bit pro and think about the clone count. You have to think about the capturing of strategic objectives. You have to think about the contracts piece. It's not just going to be Call of Duty. This is going to be something really quite special, because the link to Eve makes it just such a wider game, and I really do think it's going to be quite a game to play. As you can see the footage here, we're kind of rolling around like crazy. I mean, we're not really getting any fights, to be honest. We're just kind of killing anything that comes across us. And I think again, this just is testament to the guys. They really are good players at this game. I think for just 2 of them as well, the damage they can do is quite funny. You think you're limited to 4 spaces. I think that's gone now, but I would stress, I think the beauty of the game is that you can actually have small squads working quite well. So as you can see here, it's all getting messy. I just love jumping out and all stuff. Now, my first issue of the game, bunny hopping. I hate bunny hopping. I used to play Counter-Strike and or even Half-Life 1 deathmatch. I used to hate bunny hoppers. Bunny hopping is where you're being shot at and basically just start jumping around like a fool. I don't like it. I think it's shit. I think you shouldn't do it, and I think it's just a really sad way to try and avoid fighting. I actually hate the realism. I'm a big realist. I like real games, and obviously I'm not playing a real game here, but I'm fucking not playing Call of Duty. That's for damn sure. I want to play a game that actually has some sincerity behind it. So when you see players bunny hopping around, it drives me mad. But there's not a lot you can do. Not what you can do about that. So I'm not going to have an aneurysm over it. But it just really bothers me. But again, that's probably the out of all the things that I'm pissed off at, for that just to be the only thing is actually pretty good. I think as a game, it's just astonishingly good. Also, just some of the weaponry. So you can see here, I think they're using assault rifles. Assault rifles have actually been nerfed to hell. So they have actually had a bit of work on them, because everyone's using them. There's some really fun weaponry in here. You have forge guns, which are basically like rail guns. You have, or rather maybe artillery actually. You have lasers, and I mean honest to God lasers. You can basically just fire a beam of light at somebody, and the longer it stays on them, the more it burns them. And you've got shotguns, you've got sniper rifles, you've got pretty much everything you can imagine you would need. See, that's a laser there, I think. Yeah, that's probably a laser. But they only have limited ranges on those things. But again, there's some really, lovely, there's some really awesome, weapons and vehicles and stuff. So, I think they have done an amazing job. And I'm really glad the NDA is now done, because I think it's something that, it's been a bit frustrating having to obviously, play this awesome game and not really be able to kind of comment on it. I've seen other people do videos of them, but I think really I kind of do, I know why they had an NDA, and it made perfect sense to have one, because I know that when you're at that delicate stage of developing something, the last thing you probably want to do is have sort of all your every fault and bug and problem magnified and put on YouTube to really draw a light on it. So I get that. I think it makes perfect sense to do that. I think where the game is now, I think certainly it's a good thing that they make it open. Still need to make sure there is no NDA from a kind of high level point of view. But I think their game as they've created it is going to either stand or fall on its own. And I think, to be honest with you, it's going to stand. It's going to take some time. And I think when I read some of the forums and I see some of the hate there is there about what was the one I read? It was, why on earth do I have to share my comm channels with mercenaries? And it was it was like something from apartheid times. It was that shit, And it's like, come on, the success of Dust means the success of Eve and vice versa. And I think you have to kind of get behind CCP here. Yeah, they're a company. Yes, they're a corporate entity. But the reality of it is that they provide a phenomenal amount of entertainment, and Dust is free. So you're getting a huge amount of entertainment for nothing. So it's again like PlanetSide 2. All of the people that whine when the littlest change is made, I think you adapt or you shut up and leave. And I just think, with Dust, I think it's one of those games that I think is going to do well, but it's going to be a grower. And I think it'll be something over time you'll become more and more kind of enamored with. You probably won't play it all the time. It won't be, I think, a real, labour of love. I think it'll be, a hobby. And I think you'll play Eve and then you'll play Dust, and, you'll get the, you'll kind of see how your mood takes you. But I think this is something Eve has missed for a while. Eve has always missed that kind of fast-paced, in-your-face action. And even on the really best, solo roams or gang PvPs, you still are only really locking a target, then pressing buttons and orbiting and stuff. So this, to me, has the agility of fun behind it. Do you know what I mean? It has that kind of, I guess it's the almost like, in a way, it's kind of like the sort of, incredible rush of adrenaline that Eve never has had. You do have that in Eve, please don't get me wrong, but you just don't have that kind of run and gun feel. You're always kind of very, it's ship versus ship, so it's almost slightly gentlemanly. I can't believe I'm saying that, but it is, because you find a target, you lock them, you engage, you fire guns, you scramble, you web and all that. But the reality of it is that you're actually just almost pressing buttons of a database for something to pop out at the end, which will be a kill or a be killed. Whereas this, like all FPSs, has that feeling of, ducking, dodging, diving, shooting, running, gunning, and I just think that Eve needed that really badly, because Wing Commander has that where you basically fly the bloody ship. You're flying a ship and then you've got your crosshairs and you go daka daka daka. This, Eve has never had that, I guess, ever. So this is why this is quite a clever move, because you do get that feeling of running, gunning, shooting, diving and ducking, and I just think that's a really good addition. And I think, again, they've done it really well. I know this is the Unreal Engine, but even so, I still think it works pretty well as an engine. It's it's pretty good, actually. So you can see the squad here, we're doing well, we're just calling in more vehicles. As you can see, we've just dominated this round, 53-10. And I wouldn't say that's mostly us, but I think it's mostly the two guys, actually. But you see, they're just armor repping me there. So yep, like your logistics, you have logistics suits that can armor rep you. So you can have your damage dealers, your tanks, as I am here with the minigun and the heavy suit. And PA was basically doing the rep. What was that, Lawport? I forget. But again, you couldn't ask for two great guys to play the game with. So if you're looking to basically play the game, don't play it solo. It is an awful game solo. You need to play it in a group, so therefore you're not going to get owned every 5 minutes. And I do mean that. Do not play this game solo if you can avoid it. Go join a squad, join any squad you can basically get into, but try. That guy. Oh. I think he's dead. So I just think really do make sure you get into a squad if you can. And if you don't have anybody to play with, just come convo me or convo the Unholy Legion of Dark Star. That's CEOPyrex CloneA, and just join our group. But yeah, great game. And I think really it's kind of a and these videos will form a series now, so I think next time we're going to look at dropships. I had an absolute blast in dropships, and they're just the most awesome thing in the game, so I'll probably show them in the next video. But I would stress this is now open beta. Come and play, come and have some fun, and I think really just join the action, because this is a game worthy of your time. It's free if you have a PlayStation. If you don't, maybe consider looking at buying one, but that's your call. But I would stress you would not be disappointed.